श्री रीता प्रताप बनर्जी, 12 मिनट्स में है आपका।
Thank you, madam. As I speak on behalf of my party AITC, I want to mention that education is the basic building block of every society. It is the single best investment that countries can make to build prosperous, healthy and equitable societies. But unfortunately, education for all still remains a distant dream in our country. Since decades, discussions and demands for allocation of 6% of GDP on education continues. Union expenditure on education in the budget has been 0.37% of the GDP, much below the set target of 6% of the new education policy 2020. Ensuring equitable access to quality education is one of the greatest challenges facing the country. 80% of our youth are unemployed. 1 in every 3 youth are neither in education, employment or training. 93% of the workforce contributing to more than 50% of our GDP is employed in the unorganized sector, madam, with no job security, social security and are deprived of statutory benefits. Now, as we discuss education, Honorable Minister is here. Now I want to mention, without any consultation with the state governments, the NEP has been forcibly thrusted upon the states. Our state government was forced to start the 4 years graduation course with interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary framework so that the students of the state don't lag behind or suffer as far as the all India perspectives are concerned. But the huge infrastructural expenditure that the state government is incurring is not borne by the central government. Leave aside the allocation for meeting such huge expenses, the union government is completely silent about the areas from where this huge expenditure will be met. The persistence of the governor as chancellor, this model has caused numerous problems in the governance of state universities. While state governments fund these universities, governors wield substantial power without corresponding accountability. This creates a dual authority system with conflicting demands. Disagreement between governors and state governments, particularly in opposition-ruled states, lead to delays in appointing VCs, causing administrative paralysis. These delays affect areas such as the appointment of staff, the implementation of projects, and even the awarding of degrees. Now, some governors rely on political interference, often prioritizing the centre's political agenda over the university's autonomy and interest. Allowing governors appointed by centre to control state institutions compromises the principle of federalism. State universities should be fully accountable to elected state government elected by the people. The search committee headed by former Chief Justice of India, U. Lalit, had made some recommendations. In spite of those recommendations, the governor of West Bengal has only appointed 14 permanent vice-chancellors out of the government-run and aided 31 universities. দীর্ঘদিন ধরে রাজ্য সরকারকে এড়িয়ে সরকার পোষিত বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের উপাচার্যদের নিয়োগ করা হচ্ছে। যে সমস্ত উপাচার্য সরাসরি যোগাযোগ রাখছেন না, তাদের অনৈতিকভাবে সরিয়ে দিয়ে নিজের পছন্দের লোক বসিয়ে দিচ্ছেন আচার্য। এর ফলে রাজ্যের উচ্চশিক্ষা ব্যবস্থা একেবারে নষ্ট হতে বসেছে। In the recently published UGC draft regulations, all power for appointments of vice chancellors of the state-run and aided universities have been vested in the hands of the chancellors. The governors who are the chancellors are completely ignoring the elected state governments. Literally all powers are centralized in the hands of the union government, though education is not in the central list. The Samagra Shiksha in center state sponsored scheme with fund sharing in the ratio of 60:40. Despite having one of the best performance in Samagra Shiksha, the state of West Bengal is deprived from its share. The minutes of program approval board of Samagra Shiksha reveals that Government of India has recommended rupees 2629 crore of budgetary outlay for 23-24 for the state, out of which the Government of India's share was 1745.78 crore. Out of this 1745.78 crore, 311.29 crore has only reached the state. No money otherwise has reached. Despite a number of communications repeatedly from the state government, the government of India has not released any funds. The government of India did not release its share to the tune of 1433.71 crore in 23-24 and zero allocation in 24-25 till date. It will not be out of place to mention that the government of India has not released cumulatively rupees 3180.31 crore during 23-24 and 24-25 respectively to the state of West Bengal. The government of West Bengal under Mamata Banerjee is instead releasing its state share of 40% as well as additional allocation to the Samagra Shiksha Society to ensure that the wages and salaries are given in time to the Samagra Shiksha employees. Composite grant to schools and other student-centric incentives. The non-release of funds by the government of India, despite cleared by Ministry of Finance in favor of state of West Bengal, is a clear sign of deprivation of our people and is depriving our people from the right of education, and this is a clear violation of act framed by the parliament. Now we are learning from the media that due to the non-signing of MOU by the government of West Bengal for PM Shri, PM School for Rising India scheme, which is a separate scheme with separate guidelines, separate budget, separate SNA account, the fund released under Samagra Shiksha has been stopped. Now, the state has raised its objection to the scheme, having name as PM Shri, despite fund sharing of 60:40. Secondly, there is no mention in the guideline of Samagra Shiksha that signing of MOU for PM Shri is a precondition for release of funds under Samagra Shiksha scheme, which is designed under Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009. The new centrally sponsored scheme has been framed with funding pattern 60-40, and this is a scheme actually the government of India wants to create pressure on the states so that the states accept the scheme designed to implement priorities which are not agreeable to the state government. Now, the ideas of the ruling class, madam, are in every epoch the ruling ideas. The class which has at its dispensation the means of material production also in turns controls the means of mental production. This is pretty clear. When I heard Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari speaking, I remembered these words because the NEP 2020 speaks of promoting critical thinking, scientific temper and constitutional values. Now we have cut down what we have cut down from our texts. We have cut down the periodic table. We have cut down Darwin's theory of evolution. We have cut down the theorem of Pythagoras. We are going on cutting down. We have cut down Michael Faraday's contribution to scientific understanding of electricity and magnetism. This has been removed. Even as thousands of scientists across the country have protested, the NCERT are not paying any heed. Now, sir, Madam, I want to mention, in 2018, Minister of State, then Minister of State of Higher Education, Satyapal Singh, baffled the scientific community by demanding that the theory of evolution be removed from school curriculum because no one ever saw an ape turning into a human being. Other political leaders from the ruling dispensation came to his defense in the social media. The National Council of Educational Research and Training has decided to omit the chapter of the periodic table, telling that this is a rationalization exercise. I want to know from the Honorable Minister, what does this rationalization exercise means of omitting the periodic table from the curriculum? Now the Council also has deleted chapters Democracy and Diversity, Popular Struggles and Movements, Political Parties and Challenges to Democracy. Now, sir, madam, I come to the very important point of educational institutions run by the minorities. There are 54,000 educational institutions run by the Christian community in our country. About 7 crore of students go to these institutions every year. 70 to 75% of the students are not Christians. They are from different communities, Hindus, Muslim, Buddhists, Sikhs, even atheists. Why does the government want to interfere with the administration of this institution and intimidate these institutions? Yes. There are many ministers in Modiji's cabinet. I can name many of them who have been to this institution. It is a long list, but I will give only one name. The President of the Bharatiya Janata Party, the Honorable Leader of the House, Honorable J.P. Nadda, he went to St. Michael's, Patna. He is the right person to share what a great education he had at this minority-run institution. Now, Let me finish. Okay, sorry. Okay, I correct it, sir. Now, how is India described? How is India described? Sir, as India was described by our first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Nehru said in his discovery of India, Nehru invoked the very evocative idea of the palimpsest. In ancient times, before the discovery or invention of paper, the palimpsest was either a tablet stone or a wood on which every victor would erase the past history and write his own convenient version. But India is a typical palimpsest, an ancient palimpsest on which layer upon layer of thought and reverie had been inscribed, and yet no succeeding layer had completely hidden or erased which have been written previously. This beauty of India will continue despite of all attempts to erase away all our glories. Now, lastly, I have a minute left. So lastly, I want to mention the Uttar Pradesh government. Uttar Pradesh government has revised the syllabus, and in the revision of the syllabus, the Uttar Pradesh government have excluded Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore has been excluded from the syllabus of the Uttar Pradesh government. An elected state government has every right of doing it. It is their prerogative. They probably think that Rabindranath can be replaced by Ramdev. I have no problem. The UP government thinks that Rabindranath can be replaced by Ramdev. The true polymath, accomplished musician and artist. Madam, please, I crave your indulgence. I will take a minute more. The true polymath, accomplished musician and artist, an electric philosopher and a passionate political activist, Rabindranath advocated the integrity of education and culture. The people who are dropping in from textbooks are the ones who are dictating that we can't eat fish on particular days of the month. Ancestors of Rabindranath and of us have been eating fishes for 5,000 years. It is in our DNA. The problem is, madam, some people don't understand the pulse of Mahamati Manush. Mahamati Manush means mother, land and people. Along with Mahamati Manush comes Mahamati Manush and Mach. That means Mahamati Manush and fish. Tagore, I will just quote a line of Tagore. Tagore had said, they have deleted Tagore. It was Tagore who said, it was Tagore, আমি পৃথিবীর কবি, জেতা তার যত উঠে ধ্বনি, আমার বাঁশির সুরে সারা তার জাগিরে তখনই. I am the poet of the world. Each and every sound that originates in any corner of the world will be reciprocated